All right, the day is here. We are super excited to be launching Agent U. Joining us is my awesome mortgage coach, compadre here at Agent U, and that is Shane Kidwell. And of course, our fabulous expert speaker, Michele Bellisari. Shane, Michele, how are you guys doing?
Hey, from sunny South Florida.
I'm going to say hi from sunny Seattle, and that's very rare.
True.
Yeah, because when you think sunny, you think Seattle.
You think Florida, not Seattle.
First thing came to mind for me is sunny Seattle.
Shane, dude, Agent U, it's finally here, man.
I'm really excited for today. This has been, for those of you who don't know, this has been in over 12 months in the making. And the goal of Agent U has always been to treat everyone that's a referral partner, not like a referral partner, but like a part of our family. And that's what Agent U does. Now, we know that in this market, more than ever, surrounding yourself with like-minded people who are strategic in their thoughts, their marketing, their design, their actions, how they're talking is so important in real estate. And so this is a perfect opportunity to launch Agent U to the masses. This will grow. Again, if you're watching this, this is available to any real estate agent in the United States. It's not exclusive to any one company or one person. That's the beauty of it. It's a community of like-minded people. All we ask is that you take the content from our amazing speakers like Michele and others and pay it forward. Give it to somebody else, because as Michele will say, and we all agree, we're really not competition. There's so much business and wealth and potential out there that this is all about collaborating with like-minded people. So on behalf of myself, Jason, our amazing guest, Michele, and many others at our parent company, Victorian Finance, thank you for being on. We will do these often, and we'll be adding content daily to make your business the best it can possibly be.
And so before we kick off into Michele, thank you, Shane. And I know how much time and effort and such a labor of love for Agent U and design. Yeah. So kudos to you for giving us all the, the ideas to create this awesome platform. And look, just to set the stage, everyone is, this is the first of many speakers we're going to have. And I couldn't think of anyone better to kick it off than my good friend, Michele. I've known Michele for years now, and just watching her grow as a brand and what she's done and her passion, her positivity, she truly is one of those shining lights. And just a sea of talking heads saying the same thing over and over again, doing all this other stuff. And when we decided that we were going to put this together and have these live experts, we wanted people that were going to be engaging, people that you may have not seen before, even though Michele's been on big stages and she'll go through, her bio pretty shortly here, but someone that was going to teach differently, right? And to Shane's point, it's taking this information and actually executing on it. And Michele will tell her story, but there's, times where I saw Michele and she just executed, consistent, committed. Maybe if she didn't even get the result she wanted, she was always a learner and always doing something. So Michele, my friend, thank you for kicking us off in this expert series, and I will kick it over to you.
I am honored. I'm so excited for your new venture. I think this is fantastic. Our industry absolutely needs fresh content, fresh ideas, and a fresh platform. So I'm very excited for you and Victorian Finance and everybody that's been involved with jump-starting this. And I'm so honored to be your first speaker. So we're going to jump into this really quick. I am a no fluff zone, and I really like to briefly just share a little bit of my background so you know that I'm in the trenches with you. I am an agent just like you. I have gone through tough times just like many of you, and how we navigate our way out of it is really how I got to where I am right now. And my story is not going to be the same as your story. Where I am today isn't where you are today, but we all start somewhere. And I think that's the most important takeaway from anything that we discussed today is just start, plant the seed, just execute. That is one thing that Jason hit the nail on the head. I execute, and sometimes the results aren't what I want, but sometimes they are. And I'm a risk taker in the sense that I don't let my age or where I am in my life stop me from trying new things, because, that's what life is about. And so I'm huge on work-life balance. I'm huge on designing your work life around the life that you want to live, right? And so a little bit about me: I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a solo agent. I have some systems in place and backup help. I've been in real estate for a long time, and my background includes pharmaceutical sales and consumer health product sales with Pfizer and Novavax. So I've been in sales like my whole life. So I study that. I like to see what other people are doing, and then I like to implement. I have been in Boca Raton for almost 40 years. Hashtag SoBoca is my personal brand that I started back in 2017, and I have blended it into my real estate world. I love teaching, training, speaking, mentoring agents all over the place. I love trying new social media platforms. I am a mom of millennials. And so my girls, who you may see on my social media frequently, help me navigate and also be open to fresh ideas, like Snapchat back in 2016, like, oh, let me segue over to Instagram. Oh, what are stories? What are reels? What's this TikTok thing? That's where I feel we as agents can get very excited and learn these platforms, but at the same time, understand where our business is truly coming from and where to get picky and choosy about where we want to spend our time on those platforms. My areas of expertise really are about niching up. I used to say niche down a lot, but now I'm using niche up because I feel it's a way to explain to agents that you can have niches and still have other types of businesses in your real estate world. I've been featured in a few different magazines, a few different things. I've been on a few national stages, as Jason said, but ultimately I'm a mom first and a wife first. Been married 32 years, so I'm pretty proud of that. And for those of you who like football, I am a Florida Gator. So take that, my friends, and a Miami Dolphins fan. So let's jump into this. Today, we're going to talk about 8 ways to niche up in a shifting market, changing market, normalizing market, however you want to call it. We are going to be talking a little bit about how do we navigate through what is going on in this market. So let me see here if I can click this. I already talked a little bit about myself, so we don't need to go any further than that. If this market is driving you a little crazy, a little cray-cray, if you are feeling a little frustrated, if you are not sure what's going to happen, trust me when I tell you, been there, done that. I think one of the key things that you can take away from what you're going to see here at Agent U is agents that have actually been through shifting markets, agents that have been through housing crashes. And we are not in one, by the way. We are shifting a little bit. We are normalizing a little bit. But if you're worried or unsure about what's going on, it's time to create your own playbook, settle in, take a pause, and learn how to create your own systems to generate your own listing inventory. I'm a big fan of the listing inventory, and I'm going to tell you why. When the housing market crashed in 2008, I was a buyer's agent almost exclusively. Really didn't understand how to do the listing side the way I should have. I also didn't have the training. So that's when I started understanding, when I almost lost everything. My house was in foreclosure. My husband had an accident, that I probably needed to change up the game. And when I started to understand that I actually had some control over what I was doing, that's when I calmed down and I started understanding that you can have a pipeline like in pharmaceutical sales, because remember, I came from that background. And I always remembered, well, we had different new pharmaceuticals, different drugs always in the pipeline, always in the pipeline. Well, that's how I started looking at my real estate business. Thankfully, I had, some great women at that time around me who are still great friends of mine, who gave me some guidance. So number one, if nothing else, take away today, surround yourself with people smarter than you and who have your best interest in mind. It is a win-win, and then repay that. Okay. So it is like a Jenga game, right? Like pull something out and you're like, ah. So I love this quote: success is where preparation and opportunity meet. We have the opportunity right now to prepare for the next 6, 12, 24 months. What we've all gone through and experienced in the last 18 months, almost 2 years, has been very stressful, from dealing with a pandemic. Some people actually got COVID. I was one of them in the summer of 2020. Makes you rethink some things on how you're going to manage your personal life, how you're going to run your business. So you can prepare, and I believe there's always opportunities in every kind of market. And I went through the housing crash. So if you have some struggles today and you're watching this, drop what you're struggling with in the chat, because I've got to tell you, it's really a game changer when you can have some answers to the problems that you're having. So the 2008 housing crash happened. And actually, I'm just going to flip back for 1 second here and just talk a little bit about the housing crash itself. So if you're burnout on buyers and you're struggling with the lack of inventory, and you're feeling a little undertrained in today's real estate market, don't worry, because I will tell you, this is not the same housing crash that we went through in 2008. We're not having a crash. I know a lot of people and a lot of the news media are talking about housing crash, housing bubble. We're not there. There's a lot of different things in place now that we didn't have back when the housing market was running up in the mid 2000s. There's a lot of banking regulations in place. We are not seeing the foreclosures and the short sales that we would have seen, trust me, during the pandemic, if I believe some of those things had, not been in place. The banks were working with people that needed to maybe extend or pause their mortgage and things like that. So we had this great recession, but we learned a lot from it. And I think that's the most important piece that I can share with you is when we have circumstances where we're starting to have a little bit of a market shift, this is your opportunity to pivot and move. And that's what I didn't do back then. And that's what I learned to do in 2012. So agents that pivoted during the market crash of 2008, they're the ones who did really, really well, being foreclosure agents and short sale agents. Okay. But today I'm going to talk to you about some other areas that you can specialize in that don't even have anything to do with those two particular niches. And those are two listing niches. They're just not ones that I typically work with. So what I hope you'll take away today is that you can thrive in any sort of market, any sort of downturn, give you some clarity and focus, and help you master the idea of adding a listing niche, a listing funnel to your business, how you can niche up in your business by leveraging certain marketing pieces and branding pieces to get known, and how to create a business around an untapped niche and create a work life that you really, really love. And I think that's so important for so many of us right now. So let's talk a little bit about business niches and not real estate niches, because I find inspiration everywhere. In particular, I jump on Instagram, I see what a lot of companies and businesses are doing, and I look to see how I can implement similar ideas in my real estate business. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. So let's look at some brands and ideas that will inspire you to niche up. So for example, and I did a video of this, I was in Paris a few years ago for a wedding. It's really nice when your kids have friends who are getting married and then they invite your whole family. However, I took the opportunity when I was walking around Paris to look at some of the luxury brands that were, there for shopping. It's beautiful. Their storefronts, their windows, everything. And it reminded me that even though a luxury brand is well known, they never start marketing. They never start branding. So I think of Rolex and Louis Vuitton shoes and what they're doing. Okay. Women's shoes have a variety of niches in them, from nursing shoes, athletic shoes, yoga shoes, so many different styles that we as women can choose from, men as well. You've got dress shoes, you've got basketball shoes, you've got golf shoes, just all different types of niches for shoe wear. I have 2 dogs, the pet niche. Oh my gosh. I mean, you're talking dog sweaters, vegan products, different types of brands for the mature dog, for the baby dog. There's so much out there on the pet side. It's insane. Beauty, let's face it, whether you love them or hate them, the Kardashians know how to brand and know how to niche. So the Kylie Jenner brand is amazing. You've got Jade Rollers, you've got eye compresses, you've got Real Housewives launching their own brands. So I want you to start thinking bigger, and don't worry about what other real estate agents are doing. Start looking at what some of these celebrities are doing, what some of these sports figures are doing, and how they're building their brands to get known. Another one is travel. We love to travel. My oldest daughter, Kylie, I would say she's the first Kylie. She's a flight attendant, so we love to travel. So on my Twitter feed in particular, I follow sober vacations. I have a lot of friends and family that are sober, and I think that is such an interesting niche and well needed, right? Solo travel, women only retreats, men's retreats. So there's all these different ways that you can niche. And in our world, we are all buying niche brands, niche products, from Yeti, where we like to fish, we have a boat, to a Joby to hold your phone and to record your videos as a realtor. So just to give you some clarity, these are some niches that hopefully you'll take away and start looking at them and start exploring some of the ones that you love. If you know me, you know I love Lilly Pulitzer. That is one of my favorite niche brands. I love the Lilly Pulitzer story. It ties in with where I live. She started her company in Palm Beach. She had an orange juice stand, and she made clothes to hide the orange juice stains from her outfits. You'll catch me many times on my stories, in my TikToks, on YouTube, wearing Lilly Pulitzer. And I have logos, I have dishware, and I thrift for it because I love to thrift. So that's just another great niche, and it's a vibe, and it works for me. Okay. So I want you to think about that. Who doesn't know who Chanel is? And if you know Coco Chanel. In order to be irreplaceable, one must always be different. And of course, she created Chanel No. 5. This is one of the most famous and iconic brands in the world. It is one of the most, if not the most famous perfume in the world. It is famous because it was the world's first abstract fragrance, which incorporated more than 80 ingredients. 80. That's why it smells so delicious. That's why women love Chanel. I mean, it's just, when you get your first little bottle of Chanel or any product from Chanel, it's very special. According to NPR, one bottle is sold every 30 seconds. And Chanel, we're talking back in like the 20s, right? It's now 2022. So as Coco Chanel says, be who you are, not what the world wants you to be. Agents, listen to me. You don't have to be that agent or that agent or that agent. Stop looking at all of their social media all the time and feeling bad that you aren't at that level. Okay. We have these discussions frequently in Clubhouse. I'm in Clubhouse a lot, which is a social audio app, about staying in your lane. So I love that Coco Chanel says, be who you are, not what the world wants you to be. Okay. You've got it in you. In real estate, this translates to me that don't do what everyone is telling you to do in order to be successful. Be who you are and carve out your piece of the business. And I think that's something that I did. I'm a midlife agent, and I knew that I loved social media, and I just decided it didn't matter if I was 50, I was still going to run with it and have fun with it. I think that's the main thing. If social media isn't your jam, but blogging is, then know how to blog, learn how to blog. Maybe you like to write. I went to the College of Journalism, University of Florida. Am I a good writer? Oh, heck no, I suck. However, I'm good enough that I can tweak it, and I learned how to SEO my blogs, and thus soboka.com has a pretty decent ranking. I get a nice chunk of views and I do convert business from it. So maybe you don't want to do video. That's okay. I think the video shaming thing on social media needs to go away, especially directed at realtors. You don't have to show your face in video all the time. There are many, many ways to get known in this business if you simply will not be on video. You can blog, you can do PR, you can do a voiceover of a video. There's so many things that you can do. So don't get too caught up. If video is not your jam, there's a lot of other things you can do. Podcasting is another one. So I just want to share that because I hear so many agents getting frustrated over what's going on and what they are being asked to do. And at the end of the day, I understand that frustration. So the goal today is to get you into a mindset of understanding that you can be looking for niches that you can be passionate about, that you can have fun with, and that are going to be profitable for you. Another piece that we as realtors, especially women realtors, is we never want to talk about money. Money is important to us, gives us some freedom in our lives, right? To do what we want to do, to pay what we want to pay, to buy what we want to buy. But it really is important to say it's okay to be profitable and successful. You can build long-term pipelines versus transactional business. And I think that's a big piece that comes into play is just doing the transactional one-offs instead of looking at building a pipeline. And I think when we have a shifting market like this is when I kind of get excited because I'm like, okay, there's definitely some good opportunities. I've planted the seeds. I've been laying that groundwork for untapped listing niches for how many years, with motivated sellers for how many years. That's super important. If you don't get that piece right on how to generate business and leads, right, consistently, everything else is secondary. So you got to get that piece right and know what your narrative is going to be. By becoming a specialist in your real estate business, you're going to go really far because you will be the go-to and people are going to call on you consistently to list properties and to refer business to you. So these are my two dogs. This is just going back to what I said. This is my vibe. This is my narrative. I niche in this Florida vibe, right? So I think one of the things that works really well here is that my audience knows this. And so I get people sending me things all the time about Lily this, or did you see this? Or, oh, there's a Lily sale. And so again, remember your audience is also other real estate agents. So I like to just share that this brand really inspires me to, up my game and be the authentically me, right? If I was in leather all the time, it probably wouldn't work, but pinks and the Lily look works for me, and showcasing that Florida lifestyle works for me. So I'm sure you have a favorite, and I would love to know what that is. So let's talk about niching up. I was using niching down for so long, and then I saw this term niche up and I said, oh, I love this. I think too many agents feel that if they niche down, they're going to lose business. You really are not going to lose business. If anything else, you're going to gain business. I still work with buyers by referral. I still work with traditional real estate transactions. I try to focus on my niche business more than just regular business. And, if you throw a wide cast net and you're trying to capture every buyer and seller out there, you're just going to get frustrated. And frankly, from a financial standpoint, you're never going to be able to drill down into where you need to spend your money because you're going to be buying leads and you're going to be running ads and you're going to be doing all these different things. If you niche down, and we'll go through this, you'll see how this is going to really give you an opportunity to put your money very specifically where you want it to be. So I do have past clients that reach out to me all the time. They aren't necessarily in my niches, but I still work with them. So there you go. I love Seth Godin, and I love this quote: obsessively specialized. No niche is too small if it's yours. You can own it. And he is the guru. So I think, my takeaway with what he says is get clear on who you are and who you're seeking to serve. Okay. Who are you helping? If you don't know who you're helping, you are definitely going to be stuck. So what's your narrative? What are you putting out there as an agent? I'm an agent and I do real estate and I sell houses. Well, so do like millions of other agents. So in order to gain the trust of a seller in particular, I'm going to focus more on that today. You really need to decide who you're going to attract to your business. And that's really a piece of what I want to talk about today. What I am talking about is attracting people to your business versus you running after business. Okay. So the benefits of a niche, love this. A niche competitive advantage seeks to target and reach a simple segment of the market. That just simplifies it right there for you. I call it the road less traveled, or in this case, the fish that knows what she wants and jumps right into it. And by the way, I have a fish. Her name is Poppy. She's a beta fish and very smart. If you're ready to make more money and be passionate about what you do and you genuinely enjoy the work that you do, then niching down and focusing on something specific is going to make it a little easier for you versus trying to go after every piece of this business. And I have certainly found that selling to people who actually want to hear from me is far better than trying to sell myself to somebody who doesn't want to work with me. I think this is really powerful because it differentiates you from the competition. When you do that, it means that you have a service or a product that's very specialized and you are offering to do something unique and valuable to a very specific market segment. So you're definitely differentiating yourself from the competition. And I think that's really the name of the game in today's real estate world is how do you stand out? Mark Schaefer has an amazing book called Known, Known. It's a book I read probably on one of my trips. I think it was an Audible, and it really resonated with me as how do you get known? And so you can get that on Amazon. And I just think it's a fantastic book and I highly recommend that. There's a lot of good books out there, but that one just really helped me a lot. So why niche up? Well, so many reasons. Thrive Hive puts it this way, relationships. So you'll be able to enhance your customer relationships if you have a niche. When businesses cater to a smaller segment, you just can spend more time with that client, that customer, and it reinforces customer loyalty. You have far less competition when you focus on a niche. And I know this because I work in 3 different niches in my real estate business. Niche market companies can be assured that few other businesses do what they do. So if you get really good at what you do, it's hard for other people to do what you do and try to be the first one to do it. Okay. Visibility. You will have increased visibility because niche markets offer something unique. Your narrative is going to be unique. You can stand out. Media outlets could notice you. You could get earned media, which I have a ton of earned media. What is that? That's free. I'm not paying for it. All that nonsense that we see, these rankings sometimes that we see, a lot of that's paid for. Your goal should be to have earned media. And PR companies talk about this frequently. And that's where you have a media outlet reach out to you for a quote, to be in a news article, to be in a magazine. I've been fortunate to be part of things with Risk Media on their podcast, Homes.com, Florida Realtor Magazine, a variety of podcasts, etc. And that's all earned media, and there's nothing better than word of mouth marketing and earned media. As far as the marketing goes, customers with specific shopping requirements are often in contact with individuals who share the same needs. So marketing yourself based on the niche that you're in and working with people in that niche specifically, they all know each other, they all refer to each other, they all help each other out. That's a way to get known, to build relationships, and to stand out from the crowd. And again, have a competitive advantage. I love this last one, preserving your resources. In a time of transition, there are things that we need to look at. What apps are you not using? Get rid of them. Stop paying for stuff you're not using and start looking at where you can put the money. So if you preserve some resources by having a niche, you may have a smaller customer base, but you'll spend less time trying to attract all of these other customers, and you'll have money to spend very specifically on the areas that you want to advertise in or market to. You spend less time and effort on data and analytics as well, because now you're focusing on one segment of the market versus the whole giant piece of the market, which we still look at, right? But you want to be focused on a segment so that you can consistently drill down. And when people think of you, they think of what you do in real estate. And I think that's very important. One of the big pieces for me when I decided to niche up was I love being a problem solver. And some of you are the same way. I think a lot of realtors are problem solvers. It's probably one of the reasons we get into the business. So when I was investigating and studying like what a listing niche to focus on in 2011, it became very clear that I loved being a problem solver. So my main listing niche is probate real estate, which many of you who have met me on social media or have listened to podcasts or met me on Clubhouse know that I just had a natural inclination towards it after I started looking at where I could build my pipeline. My parents passed away at 57 and 61, and we went through probate with both of them, different types of probate. I also worked with buyers that we put offers in on probate property, and listing agents weren't understanding what they needed to do in order to get the property closed. In one case, one of the listing agents hadn't even informed the estate attorney that she listed the property. So I found that, oh, this is a great area for me because I love to problem solve. I like to help. I also have a lot of empathy, which a lot of realtors have empathy. And I believe it's important to look inward and understand your personal skill set for whatever niche that you decide to choose. And I want you to think about what is your personal skill set? I was on Clubhouse this morning with one of my mastermind groups, and one of the questions that we put out there was, what is your superpower? If you put your cape on, what's your superpower? And then drill down from there. And I think that's going to help a lot of you clear the clutter as to what you need to be doing in real estate. And if you want to drop some of what your superpower is in the comments or in the chat, that would be great. I'd love to see that. One of the big pieces is to understand what the clients and customers are challenged with. So in particular, what's a seller challenged with? Well, I'm going to give you some resources here. When people are challenged, they usually go on social media and they put out, especially in groups, right? Facebook groups, Reddit, on Google, Quora, but I see it a lot in Facebook groups. And they're asking questions, right? They're asking like, where can I find a great probate attorney? My mom died. I need to have the house cleaned out. I have antiques from a great aunt and she passed away. I don't know where to sell them. And so start looking in these groups, because what will happen is you'll start seeing questions that people are asking that need help with that you could turn into content. You also could potentially connect with that person and come from a place of, how can I help you? Not how can I list your house? Okay. When somebody is going through a life situation like a death in probate, you have to be very cautious on how you're working with that individual because they're grieving, and we have to be very sympathetic to what they're going through. Timing is everything. So research keywords and key phrases to see what bubbles up in regard to the niche that you're looking to do. Okay. What kind of conversations are going on out there? What's happening in and around your niche? I like to have Google searches set up. And so I get emails every day about the niches that I work in, just to see, oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting case, especially, and we'll talk about this in a few minutes, celebrities that have passed away. Talk to people that may already be working in the niches that you're looking to work in. Now, your local competitor probably isn't going to want to talk to you, but someone in, oh, I don't know, Seattle or maybe Pittsburgh, if you're not in those areas, might be willing to talk to you a little bit about how they got started, or, you know, what works for them in the niche that they're in, if you're interested with it. So for example, you know, I also tap into the individuals that are in the niche that I, you know, work in. So for me, that would be attorneys, financial professionals, divorce mediators, relocation companies, professionals that work with seniors, like senior move managers, and that go to places like Google and answerthepublic.com, and especially answerthepublic.com. Pop in a question that you might have or a topic, and then see how it spiders out into a web of topics. And that is something that you can use not only for yourself for content, but also in regard to helping people who are going through a difficult time. Okay. One of the big things that I've done is started my own Facebook groups for different topics. One is a local group, one is strictly for realtors. And, you know, it gives me my own platform to deal with. So you've got some opportunities to start your own groups, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So being that resource is huge. People need information. They need help and guidance. You can provide free checklists, free PDFs, spreadsheets, guides, whatever it is. You know, I was listening to somebody talk the other day in Clubhouse, and she said she has 32 different PDFs. Honestly, when you think about it, it's really not that much. And you could have one topic and have a breakdown of 7 things you need to do before you move, right? I have one, for example, how to declutter your house in 1 week. Okay. And I go room to room to room. And the bonus pieces, how to declutter your computer. Because let's face it, my computer is usually a little bit of a hot mess. So make sure that you're sharing informational videos. You can do that on YouTube. You can do that by doing a social media post. Be the resource, and be the resource to the resource. There's certain areas that I just say, oh, well, I can't answer that, but this attorney can, or this financial person can, or this accountant can. So be the resource to the resource. So how do you drill down in order to niche up? Well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about choosing a niche. So I'm going to give you 10 listing niche areas that you could tap into. And I think you're going to love this. So my number 1 is probate. I talk about that frequently. I work in it frequently. My number 2 niche is seniors that downsize. I actually started with probate in 2012, and it segued into dealing with seniors because the nature of what I was doing in some cases led to the family member saying, hey, I have a family member who needs to go to assisted living or memory care. Divorce is another one. So those are the 3 in particular that I work in frequently. A big reason is that economically, and I'm going to talk about this in a few minutes, they just keep going no matter what's going on in the market, whether interest rates go up or whether we have a pandemic. People still die, people still need to downsize, and people still get divorced. So those are the 3 that I love working with specifically. However, I am also an empty nester. So empty nesters, in many cases, are looking to downsize, not because they're going anywhere. They just want to get the equity out and they want to downsize. Maybe they want the beach condo. Maybe they want the ski condo. Maybe they want, who knows, the island. I don't know, whatever. So empty nesters is a great niche. Relocation is fantastic. I'm dealing with a relocation one now. That's a great niche. A lot of times you're going to get the sell side, but sometimes you'll get the buy side on the relo. And if you're really good at the buy side on relo, that's a great niche. Historic homes, that's another great niche. Maybe you live in an area like Charleston or Savannah, or, I mean, even in Palm Beach County, we have historic homes here. You could focus on historic homes. Short-term rental properties, everybody's talking about Airbnbs and Vrbo and blah, 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 blah. Well, I think you're going to see some of these people getting out of the market. And so that might be an opportunity for you. Amenity properties, properties that have everything, okay, everything you can imagine to them. Typically gated communities, clubhouse communities, equity style communities. Maybe that's your jam. Maybe you live in one of those communities. That's where you can own a community, like really own it. Eco or green homes, that's still out there. People love that. Okay, so you could focus on that side, and that's what your content would be about. Every community has an opportunity, right? Location specific properties. So I'm not too far from Key Largo. I talk about Key Largo a lot on Soboka on Instagram. And I always say, if you need a realtor in Key Largo, I know all the best realtors in the Florida Keys, let me know. And I've worked frequently with agents down there. That is definitely a location specific, destination specific property. So keep that in mind. You just have to be willing to put the work in. I'm a huge fan of creating your own listing inventory with real estate niches. Instead of buying leads, start diamond mining for leads, okay? And that's what I started doing in 2012. I learned how to lead generate, find listings that, or potential listings that were gonna go on the market, and work with those personal representatives. And I didn't pay for those leads. I did the research and I did the marketing and did what I needed to do, because remember, my house was in foreclosure. We were losing everything. And so I had to pivot quickly after not pivoting at all and just slam dunk it, because I really didn't have a choice. It was either that or I was going to go back into getting a full-time job somewhere. And I really didn't want that, even though real estate is more than a full-time job. So let's talk a little bit about probate real estate. And then after this, we're going to talk about 9 ways to also niche up in your business through marketing and branding and some other really cool things that I think you're going to appreciate. So as I said, I do a lot with probate real estate, and I want to talk about these celebrity cases, because at the end of the day, if celebrities do not plan, and clearly they don't, what would make you think that the average person is planning their estate, right? So probate properties come in the market every day. Probate situations do not follow the economic swing of whatever is going on, because at the end of the day, the heirs and the personal representative, or in your area, maybe executor or executrix, want to sell the home. They need to sell the home. In most cases, they need to sell the home because overhead is too much. It's expensive. They don't want it, variety of reasons. However, all you have to do is look at, say, Amy Winehouse or Michael Jackson or Anna Nicole Smith. You know, these cases, long drawn out probate estate cases, because nothing was done. And it's always kind of surprises me, because they're surrounded by so many attorneys and so many managers, and yet here we are. And the estate planning is, you know, whatever, it's just not there. There's a ton of wealth out there. There are billions of dollars of properties out there that are getting ready to go through probate or have been through probate. And the, you know, information that's out there shows that typically an executor or personal representative, they will sell that property typically within the year. So even if you touch base with somebody early on in that process, chances are they're going to list that property. So why niche up? Well, number one, you know, I've told you my story, and I think if you take nothing from that, learn that you need something that's going to be consistent. So I find that when you niche up, like in probate, this is an untapped area with a motivated seller. Nothing better than a motivated seller, you know. And once you master that and you fill your pipeline, you're not going to probably be the 20th agent calling, like on a FSBO or an expired. So finding a niche that's untapped is very, very important, right? Less competition is big. 2, recession resistant. Finding a niche that is recession resistant is huge. And the moment the courts figured out how to do Zoom court hearings to do divorce decrees and divorce, you know, scenarios with the people that were going through divorce. You know, they were often running with getting the backlog done. Same thing with divorce. A lot of times probate property needs court approval. Well, it has to go through the court, right? So sometimes we as agents need to focus on what's happening in everyday life. Sometimes it sounds so exciting to do some of the really bright and shiny things, but there's a lot of competition for that. Whereas this gives you a little less competition. So I am a big fan of, you know, taking the road less traveled. And that's why I encourage agents to always look at, you know, niches for a great base of their real estate business. Agents go where they're told. And if the message is consistently buy leads, buy leads, buy leads, buy leads, what you're not learning how to actually source your own leads. And I think it's important to learn how to do that. Again, motivated sellers. A lot of times these sellers, in any of the three in particular that I've mentioned to you, divorce, downsizing, and probate, there's a lot of debt perhaps involved. There could be a mortgage involved. They can't pay off the debt. They can't keep the home. The overhead's too much. Maybe the house is just in terrible shape. Who knows what's going on? A lot of the pieces, the overhead is very high for a lot of the people that inherit it, or they can't even live there because it may be a 55 plus community and maybe they can't actually live there. Not a lot of times too, especially probate, you can have multiple people who are beneficiaries and, you know, they have to agree on what they're going to do. So having a motivated seller is great, as many of you know. As I said, lower your marketing expenses. If there's one thing I've learned about the niche is that I'm not spending as much money. I'm very focused on the content, very focused on the advertising. You can create several things in Canva, swipe files to use, writing blog posts, doing videos, and you're off to the races. If you don't want to do door knocking, trust me, you do not have to do door knocking. You do not have to do phone calling in a niche, right? There are a lot of ways, like I've mentioned, that you can market yourself without doing that. And I will tell you right now, it's 100 degrees in South Florida. I am not door knocking. In particular, this was a big one for me, was getting my time back. As a mom of millennials, I love spending time with my daughters. We like to travel. I like my weekends. Whether you focus on a niche or you just become really, really fantastic at being a listing agent, the listing side, in my opinion, just gave me my time back. And that's personal for me. But I think if you talk to other agents that love to list, they will tell you the same thing. My weekends, I can usually navigate around if I've got listings. I can plan my time. I can spend more time with my fam, and I'm able to block out vacation time a lot more effectively than when I'm working with buyers. Again, I will work with buyers, but I'm much more like 80% on the listing side. When you niche down, especially in some of the areas that I've mentioned, you could have the opportunity to build generational wealth and invest in real estate, because if you're first to know of a property, that doesn't preclude you from making an offer. You know, disclose, of course, your realtor, blah, blah, blah. But there you go. You could start your investment side of your life, and or you can list, whatever you prefer, whatever you are able to do. So I think this puts you on the front line of finding properties that nobody knows about yet. The other thing is, and I'm a huge advocate of agents having a side hustle, a side gig. Call it what it is, multiple streams of income. There's no reason. I do not care. You can tell me until you're blue in the face that full-time realtors are the best realtors. I think full-time realtors are fantastic. I think realtors that also have additional streams of income are smart with that, because again, you never know when something is going to go sideways. Something's not going to close. I think we all had a big dose of, oh my God, what is going to happen in March of 2020? So I'm a firm believer that agents should have multiple streams of income. That could look like selling a course. It could be adding something to your business that coincides with your niche. For example, maybe you start a clean out business. Maybe you start a cleaning business. Maybe it's someone in your family who does. So they complement each other. Maybe you get your notary license. You know, there's all these things. If you start thinking about, oh, if you love, like I love to thrift. There have been times over the years where I've had clients say, could you sell this for me? Sure. I'll sell it on Marketplace or whatever for you. You know, there are ways to get referral fees from doing the referral. So again, disclose. Every state is different. You know, do what you're allowed to do. But I'm a huge fan of the side hustle, including, you know, the brokerage that you're at. You know, do you have opportunities to have rev share or get stock? So I think there's a lot of ways that agents can think outside the box these days so that you have some other revenue coming in and that you're also a resource to your clients. One of the great things is when you get 5-star reviews. And so I have been a huge advocate of getting that 5-star review ASAP. I use Rate My Agent for that. I love that platform. And this is just for example, this is a probate property that I worked with recently. And it went on Rate My Agent, and it was a little complicated, but here we are. I'll take the complicated when nobody else wants it. There you go. And we tweaked a couple things and off and running we went, and we ended up getting over ask. And we got it approved by the court, and everybody was very, very happy. And I've gotten another referral from that agent that referred it to me. And I'm probably going to get another sale out of it because someone else in the family is going to list their property. So this is something you can share everywhere. So let's talk a little bit about 8 ways to niche up your game in today's real estate world. So I've given you several tips on how to niche up in your business on the business side, right? Like this is what you can do now. 30 days from now, 60 days from now, you're going to start seeing some results from what I've just shared with you. But what are some ways that you can really up your game? So I want to remind you that you have an opportunity to do a lot of different things to market your business. But let's talk about a few things. So number one, we've talked about becoming a specialist, whether it's favorite cake or a brownie or tequila or a doctor. Specializing in something is huge. So take that away today. Build a personal brand. Many of you don't even know my freaking name. Say my name, say my name. Okay, but you do know Soboka. Soboka is something I started in 2017, it was kind of a whim on Instagram. And then being the true Aries that I am, I got it together and went, I actually can make this into something. So flash forward to today, I have a blog, soboka.com. I have a YouTube channel. I have Instagram. I have my logo on everything. I have, well, you can see I have a beautiful little handbag there. So I have personally branded myself as #Soboka. I am the expert about Boca Raton. And oh, by the way, I happen to be a realtor. See how I just segued into that? Instead of like being all pushy with your realtor stuff, make sure you're, doing what you're supposed to do, mention your brokerage and things like that. But that's how I segue into it, right? So I've had so much fun with that. No matter where I go, I'll walk into a room, people will be like, Soboka. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Nothing better than that, right? Create content relevant to who you want to attract. Okay. So honestly, I am not writing a whole ton about interest rates right now. I put stuff out there that's relevant to the people that I want to attract, to what is happening here in South Florida. Okay. Write or vlog about it. Don't like to write? Hire a ghostwriter. Where can you hire a ghostwriter? Fiverr. Put it out on Facebook. You'd be surprised at how many little closet writers are out there who'll write a blog post for you, and it's not expensive, right? Big thing is you may have to go back in and SEO it, but hey, if you can get somebody to ghostwrite that for you, that's a win-win. Turn that into a script. Now you've got something to do a video on. take those bite-sized pieces, turn that into stories, turn that into reels. Okay. There's, what did Gary Vee say? There's like 85 ways to break down one large piece of content. Do a podcast with it. Become the expert. Stop renting space on social media. Guys, I'm going to just like howl at the moon on this one. I love Instagram. I've been doing Instagram for a long time. I've got like 20,000 followers between both my Instagram accounts, but I got to tell you something. If you get shut out of your Instagram account and that's where you're doing all your business, you got a problem. And in the last week, I've seen at least 4 people that I know have things shut down. I've seen one person absolutely lose access to her personal Facebook page. Some of you may know exactly what I'm talking about. It's devastating if that's your business. So you need to own your own space. And that means like WordPress. Like I'm a big fan of WordPress. Oh, by the way, side hustle, you can run ads on a WordPress site. So on Soboka, I run ads that are relevant to what's on my blog, travel, housing, decor, things like that. I make a huge amount of money, wink, wink, from that. But you know what? It all adds up. You got a little pile here, you got a little pile here, you know what I'm saying? But I'm telling you, the companies are messing around with people on social media, on Instagram and TikTok too. So just make sure that you own your real estate on social media, okay? And use the rest as backups. I'm not saying don't use them. I'm just saying make sure you've got a place where you can still connect with your audience, where you can get email addresses, etc. Building an email list is huge, okay? I have a Facebook group. In my Facebook group, you can't get in unless you give me your email address. You know, that's the way it goes. Don't like it, don't join my group. That's how I feel about that kind of stuff. Turning 60 kind of a good thing. Nurture your own ecosystem. So we hear Tom Ferry and people who belong to Tom Ferry talk a lot about that ecosystem, which I think is great because it made me start thinking outside the box that that's not the only ecosystem out there that we as agents can work with. I have a great ecosystem from Clubhouse. I got on there early and man, I leveraged the hell out of that. I have closed business from that, $2 million in referral business from that. I am in there every day for a short chunk of time, masterminding and chatting with the same group of people. It's a large group that I've known now for almost, 2 years? It's fantastic. It was a game changer for me. That and making a move to a different company in 2021. I have leveled up my game. So it's important that you go into spaces where you're nurturing your own ecosystem. You can do that in your brokerage. You can do that if you're in a different coaching program. But there's a lot of ways to nurture your own ecosystem. One of the things that I've definitely done, and I'll talk about this in a minute, is nurturing my referral ecosystem with other agents. Get on Fiverr and hire help. Get on Fiverr to create that logo for your personal brand. Okay. Get on Fiverr to help you edit those videos that are sitting there that you haven't done anything. Go on Fiverr to help create drip campaigns for you. Hire a virtual assistant. Now here's the thing. This is what I did. I had virtual assistants for a long time and I went through one of those big companies and it was a whole contract and all this stuff. You know, I need 5 to 7 hours a week for what I do in my business. Okay. I'm probably going to be amping up some hours because I have different projects going on. It is great because here's what she does for me every week. Coordinates my social media, doesn't create it. I create my own social media, but coordinates it. She coordinates my weekly newsletter that goes out every Friday. And it will be 1 year that I started doing that in August, I believe August. She does lead gen for me, for my niche. She manages a couple of my Facebook groups. Okay. She manages my referral map. And I'll talk about that in a minute. So hire some help. You don't have to go alone. And I will tell you, there's a lot of people out there that are solo agents, like like I am a solo agent. And I will tell you, you're not on an island, but you do need some help. And if you need it on the back end, get it. Number 7, focus on agent to agent referrals. I'm very fortunate to be in Florida, especially South Florida, because people are moving here all the time, right? So one of the things I did is I created a referral map through Google and a Google sheet. And I have agents sign up. If you would like to be on my Google referral map, go to my Instagram at the Michele B. That's Michele with 1 L, and go into my link tree, and you will see it's in there, along with a few other things you may have some interest in. And that's the other thing I have her go in, and I have her pin everybody to the map. So when I am looking for agents across the country, I now have a visual, because I'm hyper visual person, right? So that's a real win-win right there, because I'm referral agent heavy. I would love your referrals, and I'm happy to give you a referral. Well, let's talk a little bit about leveling up who you hang out with in real estate and where you're hanging out. So I've mentioned Clubhouse several times, because that was one of the prime locations that just was a game changer for me. And I think because of COVID and everything, it was just the perfect storm for that. I will tell you that I host at least one room a week in my Club Real, but I'm a moderator in several, and the people that I'm hanging with are people that I highly respect, who I did not know before. Glenda Baker, Ginger Walker, Justin Conoco, Megan, my friend Megan, Shannon Milligan. I'm trying to think, so many people outside of real estate. Sue B. Zimmerman, love her. She's fantastic. I started really understanding so much from these rooms, and sometimes we just have to get out of our comfort zone. And I just love the people. Megan Luker, sorry, had a moment there. I'm just saying, some of the things that we're learning from each other are amazing, but I listen a lot too. And I'm just like, wow, this is so cool. That's how I learned how to do a Google map and Google My Business. My friend Derek taught us all how to do our Google My Business pages at a high level, right? And so level up who you're hanging out with in real estate and where you're hanging out. Stop hanging out with some of the same people, by the way. Somebody mentioned this today, going to conferences. Do some dinners, do some lunches with people that you don't normally hang out with. Expand your horizon. Like, what was it, Mrs. Doubtfire? Expand your brains, expand. There you go. And here's a bonus tip. Start your own Facebook groups. So I have 2 Facebook groups. One is for realtors, women in real estate, and one is local for Soboka. And I manage them. The Soboka one, I'm the only realtor. That's the way it goes. It's my group. So I'm the only realtor in there. I let people talk about their business, look for referrals for each other, blah, 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 blah. Women to women in real estate, that's where I also really love to nurture women in my real estate world. And so I have my own private group for that. And that's a fantastic place to be able to build a referral relationship. One of the things I will share, though, is there are other platforms like Circle that creators are using, because, as I said, a friend of mine recently lost access to her personal Facebook page, and thus access to her group. So there are some options out there. So just be aware. And remember this: times of transition are strenuous, but I love them. They are an opportunity to purge, rethink priorities, and be intentional about new habits. We can make our new normal any way we want. Kristen Armstrong. I hope you enjoyed what I shared with you today. It was a lot of information, but I feel that the opportunities are out there. It's time for us to grow, and you got this. You're going to be fine. We're all going to be fine. We went through a pandemic. We're going to be fine. I thank you all today for your time. Make sure to follow me on your socials, and, happy to answer any questions. And I really appreciate the opportunity today, Shane and Jason.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Michelle. That was awesome. A lot of great knowledge and expertise in there. Everyone that's watching, in the platform, you can actually download Michelle's presentation so that you can follow along and watch the replay. The replay will be available on the platform as well. And for those that don't know, Michelle actually has a course, right? You have a course that you teach. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I do. I have it's called the Probate Real Estate Boot Camp. And I learned how to do probate back in 2012 by taking just a very, very simple course. And flash forward in 2020, when I was at home quarantining, I said, well, I've been talking about doing something for a long time. So I put something together that shows agents how to lead gen, how to market themselves, brand themselves, and grow that listing funnel if they're interested in doing probate. I think you can tell I'm very passionate about, you know, laying up, having the proper tools in your business. And we're all at different phases, but if you can create a listing funnel, you're way ahead of the game versus chasing listings and working with buyers. So if anybody's interested in learning more, I'm happy to share a link with Jason and Shane. And of course, I am happy to give everybody a little 10% discount if they mention Agent U Live.
I love it. Michele, first off, I just want to thank you so much for your time. The authenticity, the genuineness, the way you build your brand is so important for everybody on this call to remember. You know, if you want to stand out in the sea of masses, you have to be different, right? If everybody's wearing a black suit and you wear pink, you're going to win simply through your differentiation. So I love that. I think a couple key points that I took away that I just wanted to emphasize with the group: make sure you control where your audience lives. And it's so important, as you mentioned, and we have a great friend, Karen Carr, who shared a great story on YouTube about losing her Facebook page. And you don't think about stuff like that as you're just going through your day to day, but they will take you offline for no reason, and there is no support, right? So owning that through a blog, through an email list where you're sending out a newsletter or something.
Yep.
I think also, what's really cool and something you point out is like, do something, like just do something. Don't do everything. You're not going to win if you're the jack of all trades, master of none, right? Because there's too many people out there. And like, I, as a consumer, get confused when somebody's the master of everything. And I'll just go find somebody who specifies their skill set in what I really need. So I love that. And I love your probate idea. Gang, if you got value from Michele and from this, go ahead and leave her some love in the comments. Reach out to her on social media. This, I'm sure, is not the last time we will have Michele on here, but thank you so much. The value is huge. We're in a very unique time as an industry, and positivity is going to win. Nobody wins with fear. And it's really easy to find an agent who can talk doom and gloom. It's really hard to find someone who's going to be positive, who's going to own the process, take control, and do it in a really unique way. So thank you for that.
Oh, my pleasure. I love this today. This was so much fun.
Awesome. Michele, again, thank you for being our first expert speaker. And next month, we actually have another mutual friend of ours, Sue Pinky Benson, will be talking about video branding and marketing. And, so it's great. It's funny. I was talking with Michele yesterday about just all the great speakers that we have lined up. And, I was fortunate enough to be allowed in the circle of these awesome real estate agents years ago. And we mentioned Karen and that, and yeah, and Karen as well, just a great, and her story, like Shane mentioned, is that, and that's the one key takeaway is you can't build a mansion on rented land, right? So your point about your blog is so important. You got to own your traffic, because everything else you're just renting and you don't control it. So Michele, again, thank you for your authenticity. Thank you for opening up completely to share with us and what you're doing. And everyone, thank you for taking time out of your day to join us here at Agent U, and look forward to bringing you a lot more awesome speakers. We'll definitely have Michele back. She's definitely going to be a long-term contributor with Agent U. So again, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Michele, so much. And we hope you all have an amazing day.
Bye, guys.